The 1976 American TV series Baba Black Sheep was a military drama sprinkled with bits of comedy. The series is loosely based on Gregory Pappy Boyington, an American combat pilot who was a US Marine Corps fighter ace, and his squadron during the Second World War. In late summer 1942, Boyington took over command of the Marine Fighter Squadron 214, nicknamed the Black Sheep. Boyington's Black Sheep rose to fame for their exploits in the Pacific War theater. He became one of the top aces of the Marines with 26 confirmed victories, although he himself claimed 28, which would make him the top-scoring Marine ace of all time. Yet, during his final record-breaking mission, he disappeared and was presumed dead for 20 months until he turned up in a Japanese POW camp. Boyington's Black Sheep became a highly successful fighter squadron in the Pacific, and not in the least thanks to their very eccentric commander. On August 7, 1942, US Marines stormed ashore at the Guadalcanal in Solomon's Chain. It was the beginning of the Guadalcanal campaign codenamed Operation Watchtower, with the aim to isolate and subdue the vital Japanese base at Rabaul on the island of New Britain in New Guinea. Yet it took 3 months of heavy fighting and Japanese counterattacks until the decisive naval battle of Guadalcanal sealed the fate of the Japanese. Nevertheless, within the region, the Japanese still engaged in dogfighting and bombing raids with their Mitsubishi Zeros. There were around 400 Japanese aircraft operating by this point. The US Major General Ralph J. Mitchell, commanding a mixed force of fighters, bombers, and support aircraft, was tasked with destroying the last Japanese resistance in the area. And among the squadrons that Mitchell commanded was the Marine Fighter Squadron, or VMF 214. This squadron was under the command of Major Gregory Boyington. Now, Boyington was born in Idaho in 1912 and he joined the US Marine Corps in 1935. He was known for his irreverence and hijinks that did not go well with his superiors. Due to friction with his superiors, financial debts, and a hunger for adventure, Boyington ended up resigning from the Marines. He traveled to China during the late 1930s and signed up for the American Volunteer Group, serving under General Claire Chennault. Some of my viewers may recognize that name for a good reason. Over a year ago, I published a video recounting the establishment and operational history of the AVG, better known as the Flying Tigers. The Flying Tigers consisted of American volunteers that operated in China against the invading Japanese. Now, as part of the Flying Tigers, Boyington was credited with 6 confirmed aerial victories, but the Flying Tigers met many logistical difficulties, including the poor keeping of records. In addition, the Flying Tigers' kills were not recognized by the United States, even though they were eventually integrated into the 14th Air Force of the US Army Air Forces. Following the induction, Boyington returned to the US mainland and proudly claimed to be one of the United States' first aces of the war. He figured that, as he had already flown against the Japanese, the Marines would welcome him back. But instead, his reputation was well known and no service wanted him. Eventually, it was the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox, that accepted Boyington as a reserve major of the Marine Corps after Boyington sent him a telegram pleading for an appointment. He was deployed as part of the VMF 122, commanded by Major Elmer Brackett, to the Solomon Islands in the Pacific. His initial occupation was to instruct pilots and train flying squadrons, staying away from combat. From July 1943 onwards, he became the commander of the VMF 112, yet he broke his leg while wrestling not too soon after. It didn't exactly go smoothly for Boyington. He was hospitalized and had to give up his position, and only after his recuperation by September he was given another chance, because that month he was appointed as the commander of the Marine Fighter Squadron 214. The squadron had previously fought around the Solomon Islands during the similarly named campaign. Still, after its second tour of operations, it lost its commander, Major William Pace, and its manpower was spread to other squadrons. For a short while, the squadron existed only in name until it was decided to reorganize the squadron, with Boyington at its head. Boyington, 31 years old by this point, was a highly experienced fighter pilot. Although there were men that were older than he was in the squadron, his men nicknamed him Gramps and Pappy, since he was around a decade older than most of his lieutenants, which were in their early 20s. Initially, they wanted to name their squadron Boyington's Bastards, but they ended up with a less suggestive Black Sheep. Several men recruited for the squadron were veterans that had served with Boyington in the Flying Tigers, and others were relatively fresh meat. The 27 initial pilots now took up the task to fly missions against the Japanese, and one of the reasons that this squadron turned into a much feared one was because of the gull-winged Vought F4U Corsair. There's a fascinating history behind the aircraft because it was initially rejected as a carrier-based aircraft by the US Navy. The fact that Black Sheep flew in these types of planes also shows the difficulty the squadron was in. They flew in borrowed planes that other commanders had written off. As for this model, its nose was deemed too long, which hindered its visibility, and its undercarriage was unreliable. Yet during the Solomon campaign, when the plane entered combat, it showed clear superiority to Japanese fighter planes. The Marines, as such, weren't too worried about adopting this type of aircraft. During the entire war, it achieved an 11-to-1 kill ratio, accounting for 2,140 defeated Japanese aircraft. Boyington's new squadron operated in incredibly harsh conditions. They were initially stationed on the Russell Islands, a bit northwest of Guadalcanal. The pilot stands were surrounded by mud, swarms of mosquitoes pestered the area, and if it wasn't for the mosquitoes keeping them awake, it was the Japanese night bombers flying over. Besides, the food was of such low quality that the men suffered more hospital visits from food poisoning, dysentery, and malaria than from enemy fire. The circumstances weren't ideal, but Pappy did inspire his men and made sure that they were ready for when they first entered combat. It was on September 16, 1943, New Georgia Island at Munda, the Black Sheep first came into action. They flew a bomber escort to Balalei Island, an island to the west of the Solomon Islands. During this flight, 40 Japanese Mitsubishi Zeros attacked the squadron. Following a dogfight in the sky, 11 Zeros were shot down, 5 of which were shot down personally by Boyington. One of the Zeros he downed was in an attempt to save his friend, Captain Robert T. Ewing. Captain Ewing did not make it to Balalei Island and was the first loss of the squadron. Now, after this mission, the Black Sheep truly showed their worth in the Bougainville area. Bougainville is a region in Papua New Guinea and was invaded in March 1942 by the Japanese. Admittedly, the 24 Australian soldiers that were stationed on the island did not really put up any resistance when an overwhelming Japanese force overtook both Buka and Bougainville Islands. The Allies launched a counteroffensive in late 1943 against the Japanese that established a naval and airbase on the island. The Black Sheep Squadron took part in the Allied counteroffensive against the Japanese in the area. The squadron saw weeks of continuous fighting here. During their first month, they shot down 47 aircraft. In early October, the Japanese nearly outsmarted Boyington and his men, however. The Black Sheep flew over the airfield at Kahili, still held by the Japanese, with several air fleets, with Mitsubishi Zero stationed on them. Boyington received a radio signal in perfect English requesting him to report his squadron's exact whereabouts and the direction they were flying. Boyington reported where they were flying and where they were heading. Several minutes later, one of the other pilots noticed 30 Zeros climbing beneath the squadron. The Zeros, in a nasty spot, were easily ambushed by Boyington's men, and Boyington shot down at least 3. It turned out that while Boyington communicated his direction and whereabouts, he suspected a deception. He transmitted a height nearly 2 kilometers lower than they actually were flying at. In this book, Boyington later published Baba Black Sheep, he recounts the battle. You could see the planes going around in circles, half circles. You could see Zeros, Corsairs, Zeros, all firing at each other. You could see the red balls from the tracers, just like Roman candles, going every which way in the sky. Following the battles of the Bougainville area, the Black Sheep were stationed at the forward base at the island of La Vela, an island in the western Solomon Islands. Their mission was to launch an assault on Rabaul in order to cut off the Japanese base located there. Yet the first mission over the base wasn't exactly a success. 76 fighters were drawn from the Marine Corps, Navy squadrons, and Royal New Zealand Air Force by General Mitchell. The problem was both the size of the group, 76 was quite generous, and the fact all pilots flew in different planes. The formation consisted of Corsairs, Hellcats, and Kitty Hawks, and it was a nightmare to coordinate and communicate mid-air with all pilots with so many different aircraft. Also, it intimidated the Japanese, who simply didn't engage in fights, which rendered the missions ineffective. To deal with this, Boyington divided the group into smaller formations. No more than 48 fighters could take part in future operations, and generally only one type of aircraft could. 5 days later, 48 Corsairs followed up on a bombing raid on Rabaul when they flew into a responding 40-strong group of Japanese Zero fighters. Thanks to the cunning and agile performance, 30 Zeros were shot down. Boyington himself claimed 5 victories that day. It was another incredible victory, and the Black Sheep were truly making a name for themselves. As for the total amount of Japanese aircraft shot down over Rabaul, sources are a bit contradictory. Overclaiming already happened during the Battle of Britain, and while US pilots claim 147 aircraft were shot down, the Japanese records suggest 70. Either way, the reign of Japanese air power in the region was quickly coming to an end, and the Americans now reigned supreme in the sky. Yet pressure on Boyington was mounting. His difficult personality, I'd say, and the pressure that his total victory tally was getting awfully close to becoming the US top ace started to get to him. During the First World War, the top-scoring US fighter ace was Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, with 26 confirmed victories. During the Second World War, Joe Voss, lead pilot of Voss's Flying Circus, matched this record. But Voss returned from his wartime operations and by this time contracted malaria, meaning Boyington could in fact better his score. In late December 1943, Boyington scored several kills, bringing his victory tally to 24. According to his intelligence officer, as time progressed, Boyington became more aggressive and took more risk as he had a short fuse. Then again, people kept bugging him, asking him whether he'd break the record. It was only several days before the squadron's tour of duty ended, and Boyington started to get nervous he wouldn't get the chance to break the record. On December 27, he got another kill during a dogfight with the Black Sheep against 60 Zeros, but engine trouble during a subsequent mission prevented him from adding another one to his tally. The day after, according to a Black Sheep pilot returning from a mission Boyington led, he matched the all-time record by scoring another kill and was in hot pursuit of another Zero. Preparations were made to celebrate Boyington breaking the 25-year-old record, yet Boyington didn't return, and as the day progressed, his pilots realized Boyington was missing. When he didn't return that evening or during the next couple of days, the patrols couldn't find him either. It became clear he was most likely shot down together with his wingman, Captain Ashmun. What wasn't known was that although Ashmun didn't make it, Boyington did survive the crash and was taken as a prisoner of war by the Japanese. 20 months he spent in a camp suffering from malnourishment and torture, and he was presumed dead by his squadron and government. He was awarded the Medal of Honor in March 1944, posthumously. But after the United States dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it became clear Boyington lived. When Japanese POW camps were liberated in August 1945, Boyington suddenly turned up among the captured men. Following his return, Boyington was physically awarded his Medal of Honor. Quite strange was that this was the first military award he received during his entire career. Soon after, the Navy Cross and other decorations followed. Upon his return, Boyington claimed he shot down 3 more Zeros, although the last 2 are unconfirmed. If he did indeed shoot down 3, that would bring his tally to 28, and he would be the top-scoring Marine ace of all time. Yet, officially his tally stands on 26. Boyington's Black Sheep Squadron was the 7th highest-scoring Marine squadron, tallying 127 confirmed victories in total. The majority of these victories were attained when Boyington was not yet made a prisoner of war. The VMF 214 went on to serve during the Korean War. By the end of the war, Boyington was officially noted as the top-scoring Marine ace, and after his retirement in 1947, he was promoted to colonel. In his absence, several other young ambitious men became known to the greater public. Among them was 23-year-old First Lieutenant Robert M. Hansen, part of the VMF 215. He participated in missions with the Black Sheep and ended up shooting down 25 aircraft, 20 of which were just shot down in 6 missions spread over 13 days. One day before his 24th birthday, on February 3rd, he was shot down by anti-aircraft artillery. He was the highest-scoring Corsair ace, and this young man had one of the greatest, and sadly, one of the shortest career as a talented fighter pilot. Thank you for watching this video. If there's a topic or event you'd like to know more about, let me know your thoughts in a comment. I would also really like to thank all my patrons for their generous support. If you enjoy House of History and want to support my work, consider checking me out on Patreon. For just $1 a month, you will already gain access to the exclusive Patreon series. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.